Yo, welcome back to Gridiron podcast. As always, I'm your host, JB. Joining me is Devontae Forever. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, bro? How are you? Thanksgiving's coming up. How are you?
I mean, the better question is, how are you, man? Like, like,
I'm just doing very great. I'm very well. I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for the National Football League today. That's just like.
yeah, this guy is
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
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 shout
yeah.
out to everybody who support the show. As always, happy Thanksgiving to y'all, man. Hope you celebrate with your family, enjoy the time. Yeah, man, it's a lot of action that happened in the week 11 NFL. As always, we're gonna get right into this. So if you have a comment, question, concern, want to talk about your team, rep your team or whatever, make sure you put that in the comment below. We'll definitely read it and interact on the show. Devontae, I'm gonna kick this off with you, man. Obviously, before we get into your celebration, what do you think about the rest of NFL Week 11?
There's a lot of it was a pretty decent week. There's a lot of good performances, just very random performances. If I think if there was any gripe I have is I can't stand when the NFL puts the best games on at 1 o'clock. I think that absolutely gets me tight. And I
Right.
think the one thing about this week, honestly, we all had to pretty much basically wait until Monday Night Football to see the game everybody else wanted to see. Like, in my opinion, why were the Vikings and the Broncos playing on Sunday Night Football for what? Like, who picked that? Please explain. Um, but a lot of teams played really well. There's teams that obviously didn't play well at all. But I definitely think it was a terrible week. Besides the Commanders, who threw like who had 6 turnovers. That's
Right.
absolutely asinine. But other than that, no, I thought it was a pretty decent week.
Yeah, man. So I thought it was some good games this week. Obviously the Monday night game was a big one. The Sunday
Mhm.
night game turned out to be a good game, although the teams themselves, I completely get your point.
Mhm.
What Josh Dobbs is doing, what they call him the pastronaut, what he's doing out in Minnesota now is crazy, even though he's been on 14th in the last 10 months technically.
Yep.
Which is absolutely insane. Shout out to him. The Broncos quietly have won 4 in a row now. They're looking like a real team compared to what happened when they got beat by 50 by the Dolphins. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
and the Raiders, man, they played a good close game. The rookie was rookieing, as they say. You know what I mean? Yeah, he threw 3 picks. They probably could have won that game without it. The way the team is playing, though, I'm actually very impressed the way he got. Like, look, the Dolphins to hold them to 20 points. You know what I mean? Most teams should win that game. But I get it.
Mhm.
The rookie threw 3 picks. The Dolphins' defense is nothing to sneeze at. They're not elite, but it's not to sneeze at. I like what I saw. I think Pierce, in my book, he already earned the job. But we'll see what actually happens. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I thought teams look strong, but let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it, man. So the first thing we kicking off is the Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles survived again. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl rematch 21-17. Hurts 150 yards in a pick. Mahomes had 2 touchdowns in a pick. Kansas City's offense still not looking quite right, Devontae. Still not looking quite right. Obviously, it's no like real cause for concern because they're still at the top of the AFC, technically a half game behind the Ravens right now. Um, but what's your thoughts on this game and what's your takeaways from it?
I thought the Eagles had a really garbage first half. Like I thought the first half, like the Chiefs pretty much was just manhandling them, which
Right.
we didn't expect that Chiefs defense to really do. They was kind of just manhandling the Eagles offense. Like
They're
they
good.
was they
They're
kind of
good.
like that Chiefs defense pretty much shut AJ Brown right down. Like
Yep.
they let AJ Brown really do anything. But I think the second half the Eagles just showed like their willingness and physical power against the Chiefs, and that's gave them a hard time. I think the Eagles definitely got to work on their passing concepts because like it was screen left and screen right, and like Trent McDuffie was not playing with that. Like he was just sticking out there, just like every time they ran that one of those little nasty little bubble screens, they was getting rocked. Like I definitely think I definitely am just very surprised with that secondary and the Chiefs, and I got to give them all the respect in the world. But I think the Eagles, what actually really won them in this game was DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is really a difference maker that like people forget that he's on the Eagles, and like he really makes a difference every single game because he's so smooth, he's so fast, he's so cut, and he's so technically sound. And we don't talk about that enough. And also, it's very hard to not talk about it, but it is absolutely this touch push is absolutely cheat It's cheap. like it's really unguardable, bro. You really can't stop that. Like once they go to the goal line, I laughed because I knew immediately the next play was going to be the touch push. But like when you talk about this game, bro, literally, Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what more Patrick Mahomes could do at this point. Yes, I know he had the costly turnover in the end zone. I know Travis Kelce fumbled, but bro, when I tell you he threw a absolute dime to Valdez-Scantling, and bro just dropped the ball. That was bro, off the back foot. That was a beautiful pass. That is a walking touchdown, basically, probably maybe to win the game. And bro dropped it. Honestly, at this point, until you can find anything that can replace the Tyreek Hill or something like that, they might just have to like draft a wide receiver every year until they find like another one of those special guys. And that just shows you the strength of how special and how dynamic Tyreek Hill really was in the process.
Look, man, I think you broke down the game excellent. Look, Eagles dropped a lot of passes, you know what I mean, that they usually don't, you know what I mean? So, but the Chiefs, obviously, the receivers of the Chiefs, we know they're not good, you know what I mean? Talented, but they're not good. They're very inconsistent. It's kind of hard to feel bad for Patrick Mahomes, right? Because he has Andy Reid, probably the best offensive play caller of all time. He has a Hall of Fame tight end in Travis Kelce. The defense right now is rocking. I don't know where they rank. I think technically they're 8th, but in my mind, they're a top 5 defense in the league right now, especially the secondary. You know what I mean? Especially the secondary. I like to see them show up to run a little better. You know what I mean? But secondary wise, against the pass, they're top 5 in the league right now. So it's kind of hard to feel bad for Patrick Mahomes, right? 2-time champion, Super Bowl MVP. But everything you said is correct. The receivers were dropping passes left and right. But that's how it goes, you know what I mean? Like, we've seen it with Brady, right? There was times where he had Gronk and they looked unstoppable, and there was times where Edelman and Chris Hogan, they wasn't catching passes, you know what I mean? So I get that. Philly, man, they're resilient as hell. They played about maybe 7 games now, including the one they lost, where it's like they probably should lose this game. You know what I mean? And they literally have won all of them besides one. You know what I mean? That's the craziest part about Philly right now. As for the tush push, Devontae, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't mind it. I don't mind the tush push. You know why? Because I saw the Raiders try to do it, even though they got slick and did an end around instead, which I thought was smart. But they also got stopped on it. I've seen the Giants get stopped on it. I've seen the Vikings get stopped on it. I've seen the Jets get stopped on it. I've seen so many other teams get stopped on it except Philly. Now, it's because Jalen Hurts is a monster. He squats, they say 7. I say more like 600, you know what I mean, from what I saw. But still, quarterback squats 600 pounds. He's doing a sneak with guys pushing him. Come on, man. The quarterback sneak is hard to stop anyway. So my thing is, if you're going to not allow the tush push, you might as well take out the quarterback sneak too, because quarterbacks still get hurt doing that. You know what I mean? We just lost, well, not lost, but like, was it Will Levis? I believe last week he got banged up. He came back into the game off of a regular sneak. So I get people saying it's cheating because of the way Philly does it, but your offensive line has to be perfect the way to pull it off the way they do. That's why I'm not. But the Philly team, man, look, I can see them ending right back in the Super Bowl. The Niners probably got something to say about that. Dallas probably got something to say about that. And whoever else is in the playoffs probably got something to say about that. But I'm impressed with Philly, man. I'm not going to lie. The resiliency, that's what we're not seeing from a lot of teams. A lot of teams are falling for trap games. A lot of teams, and Philly's just been hanging in. So, yeah, man, the one question I got, though, for you, when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, even with the receivers playing inconsistent, right? We know what we're going to get from Kelce, even though I'm just saying he's had a down year too. You know what I mean? I know he did his thing last night, but he's kind of had a down year as well. I don't know if that's a Swiftie effect or whatever, but are you concerned for the Chiefs when it comes to we're not talking about making the playoffs. We're talking about, let's say because you have them going back to the Super Bowl. Are you concerned from what you're seeing with the receivers and stuff like that?
In the AFC, not really, just because of how a lot of these other teams in the AFC are starting to crumble. Yeah. Like, the only ones who really look strong in the AFC is Baltimore. That's like the only real one that looks like, oh, they get into something serious. Like, everybody else kind of just looks kind of eh. So,
Shout out to Coach Hine for checking out the show. Shout out to Coach Hine for checking out the show, man.
Shout out, Coach
to NC Football. He's coaching down there in North Carolina. Appreciate you, Coach, as always. Go ahead, Devontae. Sorry, just want to shout out Coach Hine.
No, you're good. I think I lost my thought. Like I definitely think that like the Chiefs will be fine. Like because like the AFC is really not. We thought Buffalo was coming on fire.
Yeah,
they're starting to slow down. We thought the Bengals are pretty much. They got no more Joe Burrow. We don't feel that strong no more. My team looks very rough. We don't feel that way anymore. Cleveland still is kind of We don't feel that way no more. So it's like a lot of the chart. Stop playing.
We never thought the Chargers. We never thought the Chargers.
Like,
the world
like the Dolphins haven't beat a team of above 500 yet. Like so, it's like all these teams that we thought they were going to really be that firepower really aren't in these situations right now. So it's really tough for me to really like go so crazy on the Chiefs receivers.
Absolutely. Coach Hine said, got to watch you two great ones. Great
Appreciate
over
that,
here.
Coach.
Half a
great over here. No. Phenomenal over here. Great over there. Phenomenal over here.
Yeah, right.
Phenomenal over here.
Let's get to the next game, man. Yo, so the next thing we're talking about, Devontae, obviously we had 2 season-ending injuries occurred this week. Joe Burrow, the Bengals, obviously out for the year with a wrist sprain, going to need some surgery on that. And Deshaun Watson had a surgery on his shoulder, which knocked him out for the rest of the year. Now, I had both of these teams going to the playoffs, right? I thought Cleveland, as soon as I saw the defense was clicking, I told you that I think they might make the playoffs. Of course, they did beat Pittsburgh on Sunday, which would have kind of pushed them that way, but I just can't see it now with Watson out. And obviously the Bengals were a powerhouse with Joe Burrow healthy. We've seen how they look when he wasn't so healthy. So I ask you, which quarterback will be missed most, Joe Burrow or Deshaun Watson for the rest of this year?
Oh, it's Joe Burrow. It's not even close because they literally have all the talent in the world. Like they have a Joe Mixon, they have a Jamar Chase, and a T. Higgins, who hopefully will be sometime coming back this season. And not having Joe, and not having somebody who literally walks you to the Super Bowl, walks you back to the AFC Championship, it is true. The Browns. There's a reason when people say the words "the Browns are the Browns" is because they're known for having terrible luck. Stuff like this happens to the Browns pretty much very normally. This is not a surprise. This is not a surprise. They lose Nick Chubb. Like that one year where they almost got to the AFC Championship was a sincere shock to the world. So like
yeah.
So like this is not like I'm not even trying to like be like that serious person who's hating on the Browns, but I'm just telling you in factual, they're used to having bad news. It's kind of like the Jets. The Jets are used to having some type of bad news or something always goes wrong.
Sorry, Coach.
Sorry about that, but it's kind of true. But so now I look at the Bengals where it's like the Bengals were terrible for so many years. They got Joe, and Joe changed the face of the franchise in an instance. Deshaun Watson still wasn't even playing his best football yet as a Brown, period. So I'm definitely going to rock with the Bengals on that because the Bengals, you had the Bengals going to the Super Bowl this year, and now
I did.
And a glimpse of a moment, it changed. Everything changed.
Go on, and we will check in on our picks as we head into Week 12 this week. You know what I mean, which is basically 2/3 of the year. So we're gonna check in again on our picks. But look, man, I agree because I think if you ask me without their quarterback, which team has a better shot to make the playoffs, I'm going to pick the Browns. I actually think they have a better shot to make the playoffs without their quarterback than the Bengals does. You know why? Because the Bengals can run the ball. They can run the ball very, very well. They just don't. And now they're going to have to when the whole world knows they're going to throw. I mean, they're going to run the ball, right? Whereas the Browns, their run game is nasty. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's without Chubb. And we know Chubb is probably top 2 back in the league when healthy. And now Kareem Hunt is back there, and as well as Ford. They both look good when they run the ball. Like, and the offensive line is big, they're strong, and they're fast. The way they pull is something serious, man. And they don't stop until the linebacker or the secondary's in the ground. You know what I mean? Like, I saw that Pittsburgh game. I forgot which player it was, but they put somebody like literally out of bounds. You know what I mean? And then put them on the ground. Whereas the Bengals, I think Zach Taylor, he wants to be that offensive genius, right? He wants to be the Andy Reid, the Sean McVays, who gets the Kyle Shanahans. So I think he's still going to want to throw the ball. I think, but the way that Ricky played for the Browns, I think they have a legit shot to make the playoffs. Obviously, not as good with Watson because I did like the way he played in that last quarter against Baltimore. But if I had to pick, I think Burrow will be missed most because the Bengals, they're going to want to throw the ball all over the field. Where the Browns, I think they're really going to play the same style of football, maybe a little less passing, but they're going to play the same style of ball. And that defense is real in Cleveland. Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
shout out to Ryan Spath, Reggie Brown, and Glenn. Pops, what's good? Appreciate y'all checking out the show. What's y'all thoughts on this? Who's going to be missed more, Joe Burrow or Deshaun Watson? Pop said, I saw some vulnerability in both KC and Philly. Since he is done without Burrow, Browns D and run game will keep them in games and even win some. Bengals not so sure. Don't know about Cincy backup, but yes, a backup for a reason. More will be definitely revealed. Yeah,
I have no idea who this dude is. Like,
me neither.
At all.
Me neither. I just literally tried to find some game tape and like it was kind of tough to find it. You know what I mean? Which is usually not a good sign. Or he could come in and be good. We don't know. Like that's how the NFL is. You never know.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because like I had watched the Bengals Ravens game right with our resident dad who's a Bengals fan. Right. I am so sick and tired of these commentators lying like they knew exactly who that dude was when he came on the game, when he came onto the field. They're like, he walks on the field, they're like, oh, that's Jake Browning. He went to UConn or wherever he went. I was like, y'all didn't know nobody who did that. Y'all waited 5 minutes until y'all called somebody, said, who is Jake Browning, and find out who this is. Got the information. They're like, oh yeah, I watched this kid in college. No, you did not. You didn't cover no games for him in college. You had no idea who that was. Stop lying. Like,
that is hilarious. But yeah, man, look. Am I saying that they definitely cannot? The Bengals can't make noise with this kid. Look, they got the receivers, right? If he could throw and hit an open receiver, they got a chance. I think both these teams are going to be in games. I think if you're, who's the team right now who's on the fringe of playoffs besides these two teams? Pittsburgh. I know you because you guys got to play the Bengals again. So I'm saying like let's say you got to play Cincinnati to get in, you beat them, you're in. It's still not an easy game. You know what I mean? I know Burrow's not there, obviously, so you would think the Steelers should win, but it's not an easy game because division rival and their team is still talented. Ryan Spaz, what's good, bro? What's good, Ryan? Happy Thanksgiving, man. He said Bengals def going to miss Burrow more just off pure talent, but at this point. What's your thoughts on that, Devontae?
No, I mean, he ain't lying. It's definitely Bengals are definitely going to miss Burrow. Like, this is... Like this, we thought that they were probably gonna. You really thought they were gonna walk right back to the AFC Championship or the bowl, and like this is just crumbling. Like this is the first year they spent money on offensive line. Now is the offensive line performing like they spent money on the offensive line? No, right. But like this is gonna be a tough time for them, especially with Higgins already hurt. It's gonna be a rough time.
Yeah. So he also said Bengals may get blown out against Pittsburgh. Now it's gonna be tough to get Chase and Higgins the ball.
We still might get outgained. You never know. Like, listen, man. Like,
oh, man.
It's 10 games straight. It's 10 games straight.
Zach Packer, what's good, Zach? Happy Thanksgiving, bro. He said, go Bills. Bills obviously coming off a victory against the Jets, but they got a tough one because they now have to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. 4 o'clock time slate game. So we're going to see if the Bills can get the season back on track after an impressive win over a good Jets defense. I know Zach Wilson, obviously the offense is not there, but the defense is good. That's what I mean. So
okay.
So right now,
right
now, the next thing we're going to get into is a celebration for Devontae. Obviously, Steelers fire offensive coordinator Matt Canada after Steelers have been outgained every single game this season. Devontae, a few weeks ago, you saw me have my celebration when Josh McDaniels was fired, and I think the Raiders look better for it. So now, how does this change your outlook on your team, the Pittsburgh Steelers?
All right, before I go, I want to just say, for everybody who's a Steelers fan, everybody who's have to watch my horrible offense for the last 2.5 years of terrible offensive play calling, I just want to say we're going to have a celebratory toast. This is a bottle of Terramana tequila, shout out The Rock. We're going to have a celebratory toast that we don't have to deal with this anymore. We are back.
This guy is crazy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go. All right. Ooh. Let's go. That's right. That's what I'm talking about right there. This is the best news I got all week. When I was at work and I got the alert of you texting me congrats. I'm like, why are you texting me congrats? So then I look, I thought you was having another baby or something. I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, what you texting me congrats for? So then I scroll, I'm like, this can't be happening. I Googled it before, it was just to make sure it wasn't fake. This changes everything on us because now our offense can actually be schemed correctly. We are the only offense where, honestly, we're using ass Madden plays. We don't have no schemes available for the dynamic players we actually have. And that's the reason why we had to let him go. We have a George Pickens. We have a Deontay Johnson. We have a Najee. We have a Jalen Warren who's been dominating. And he gets one carry in the fourth quarter? What? He's the only touchdown we had that was 77 yards. And he get one carry. We got a George Pickens who everybody, if you put George Pickens on the Chiefs right now, he'd be looked at as top receiver in the league right now.
Agreed.
Come on, like I guarantee you, if we put him up or we put Deontay Johnson up, the Chiefs would be calling our phone right now.
Right.
A Pat Fryer move. We have all of these weapons, and they were not getting used at all because who do you know? What offense have you ever seen that wants to use just the sideline for back shoulder throws as their offense? What kind of passing game is that? You can't take the middle of the whole field off and only play the sidelines. Every play was literally sprint pass left, sprint pass right. You want to know what teams do that? High school teams. And you know what those teams normally happens to those teams? They get beat 34-0 because it's the most simple, most predictable offense on the planet.
If you got speed, it works in high school. That's the whole key to it. But I got you. Go ahead.
But here's the thing, even you look at the Dolphins. Dolphins the fastest team. The Dolphins use the middle of the field all day. They run in post. They're running. No, you know what we run? I can tell you right now, in a Matt Canada offense, this is how it goes. Okay, first play, it's a sprint pass left to get 6 yards on a little flat route. It's flood, flat, square out, deep ball, flat. It's a little flat route. Nobody ever throws a deep ball on a sprint pass because you're rolling out to the left. You just don't boom, think and dunk. Second down is either some dumb off tackle play or some dirty run play that doesn't make any sense. We get stuff. And you know what's the next play? The next play is a drop back, try to throw a comeback route to the receiver on third down. Normally we don't complete it. Fourth down, we punt the ball. That's the Met Canada offense. And it's like we can't. This is the first time the Steelers have fired a coach since 1941.
Right.
Do you know how bad you have to be for the most loyal organization in the National Football League? Loyal to a fault. Loyal to an absolute fault. There's a lot of coaches. I was like, bro, we got to fire this man. This man is trash. Right. He is the worst. He is the worst offensive coach I've ever seen scheme-wise. He doesn't. How do you not scheme for your players to be open? You want to know what makes Devontae Adams so great? Everybody schemes him open. They move Devontae Adams open to get him more touches, to get more routes. Why? Because if in the NFL, once they find out you're nice, you're getting taken away. You're getting schemed. You're getting planned for. You're getting double teams. You can't just pray that a team plays man-to-man. So we're like, all right, now we can finally throw a deep ball. No, you're not using the range of the players you have. And that deserves to get you fired. And this is the best day on the planet because now we get to see what we actually have in Kenny Pickett. If Kenny Pickett's the guy or if he's not. And if he's not the guy, the thing we Steelers fans should do. We get to the offseason, we see what the Bears do with that number 1 pick. If they really, really want to go get balls and go get Caleb Williams, cool. Put Justin Fields on my team. And it's not even close. It is not even close because that would make us a way more contender because you saw the athleticism he has. Right. You saw. And all he really needs is a strong coach who's a true leader who believes in him. And I think he would be dominant in half of the systems in the NFL right now. You put him on the Titans, I think he's effective. You put him on the Raiders, I think he's dirty. Like, you put him in half of these other teams, we're looking at these teams a lot differently.
Okay. Well, shout out to Coach Hine and Zach Packard in the Pop said, cut his mic off. Shout out to Coach Hine. They said basically they're going back and forth. Ken Dorsey and Daniel Hackett. I got a question real quick. Make sure y'all put this down in the chat. All right. Rank these play callers, Devontae. McDaniels, Nathaniel Hackett, Ken Dorsey, and Matt Canada. Rank them from best to worst.
Best to worst? All right. So I'm gonna give you Dorsey at 1 because of last year. They played Bills were really good last year.
Yes.
So I'm gonna give you Dorsey at 1.
As the best. Okay.
Dorsey is the best. I'm gonna give you ooh God. This is terrible. Oh my God, this is terrible. All right, so I guess if with a gun to my head, if I have no choice, because you guys were like what 2 games out of the playoffs last year.
Yep.
I'm going to give you McDaniels at 2. I'm going to give you Hackett at 3. And I'm going to give you Canada as the worst. Why? Because all 3 of those had some type of success somewhere else in the NFL.
Okay.
It's very slim success. Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. He had somewhat type of success. McDaniels had Tom, even though Tom did all the work, but McDaniels had Tom.
Okay.
And then Dorsey had Josh Allen last year, who played decent.
Right.
Matt Canada is the worst play caller. And also, I know Nathaniel Hackett is pretty garbage, but listen, Zach Wilson is dirt. Okay. We all know why the Jets picked Josh Allen, Zach Wilson. He threw that stupid over the shoulder throw for 60 yards in his pro day and took him. And in reality, bro went to BYU for a reason. Okay, I'm sorry. He went to BYU. He is not a top 3 pick. We all knew that.
All right.
Hold on. Before I let you go and before I finish my rant, you telling me Justin Fields wouldn't have been nice on the Jets with Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, who he played with in college?
We'll get to Justin Fields.
Okay, then. Okay.
In a little while. So if I had to rank these real quick before I give my take on Matt Canada and the Steelers, I'm probably going. Damn, this is tough because look, as much shit as I gave Josh McDaniels, right, and you see me make jokes about Canada, Dorsey, and Hackett. For being honest, Hackett was more last year with the Broncos, but. Each one of them, I get what they try to do, right? I get the concept of it, right? It just don't work with the players they have, right? But so I'd probably go Hackett as the best because I actually don't mind his scheme. It just works with Aaron Rodgers, you know what I'm saying? And I think it doesn't work well with Russell Wilson. I think that was the biggest problem. Next, I'd probably go Dorsey. I think his problem is he just couldn't reel in Allen. You know what I mean? It's like, plus I hate the way the Bills run the ball under him, to be honest.
Bingo.
But I like the passing game. I like the passing concept, but I hated the way. And 2 things: the lack of run game, and I'm talking about play calling wise, and he never had check down routes for Allen to throw to. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I saw the balloons popped up for you. You saw that? All right.
I saw that. I like that.
I forgot about that. But then I'd probably go, damn. Because McDaniels, like, that's the Brady system. Because like the Raiders didn't even run the same plays as the Patriots. You know what I mean? That's how I know it was Brady. Mm-hmm. You know what? It's your day. I'll go McDaniels and then Matt Canada. I'll give it to you.
I swear to God, I was waiting for you to. I was waiting for you to play him anywhere before the other ones.
Anyway, let's see. Zach said Hackett, Dorsey, McDaniels, Canada. So yeah, we actually had the same. We actually had the same list. He said Zach Wilson is not as bad as the Jets make him look. I am convinced. I'll hold that for next week, Packer. I want you to come back next week because we're gonna talk about Zach because I want to see what they do in this game on Friday against the Dolphins. I have a theory about Zach Wilson too, and it's not 100% his fault. He does have stuff to make up on, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's 100% his fault. Packer also said Justin Fields would be, but that O-line is Swiss cheese. That's a good point about the Jets.
I agree.
All right, Pop said don't leave out Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor better than he's better
all right.
than
all by a long shot.
Yeah,
by a long shot.
He's better than these 4.
By a long shot.
He said you also have Kenny Pickett.
I agree, but the problem I think with Kenny Pickett is where like I need a bigger sample size is the fact of like he's only lost 2 close games in the 4th quarter. He's only lost 2 games. The Bengals last year and this one. So like I need a bigger sample size.
Look, All right, so when it comes to the Steelers, mine is quick because basically I agree with just about everything you said, to be honest. My only take now from the Steelers and where they go from here, I'm throwing this season away, right? Whether they make the playoffs, get bounced in the first round or not, who cares? Now my eyes are on Mike Tomlin. You know what the team needs. You've been the coach of this team for a long, long time. You know your players. We always say Mike T knows players, right? You have to pick the right offensive coordinator for the players. If they pick another bad offensive coordinator, I don't care who it is. If it doesn't work out, I'm putting this on Mike Tomlin. Not because, he needs to get fired and it's not fair, but because this has been, as we all said, the only thing holding back the Steelers, right? Because even the players aren't bad. And you went down the offensive roster. The offensive line is way better this year than it was last year.
By miles.
We've seen Pickett deliver good passes and stuff in the fourth quarter. Maybe he just needs a good offensive coordinator to bring him up to speed. We see what Warren can do, right? He needs to get more touches. We've seen Najee even have more success this year than he had last year, right? So this is why I'm looking at Mike Tomlin, where it's time to put it all together. We've seen the Steelers have a good offense with the killer bees, but at that point, their defense is starting to lack, especially in the secondary. Now it's time to put it all together to get back to what the Steelers can do. Let's see what the comment, and then we'll get on to the Bears and the Lions, which actually ended up being a hell of a game. Stat of the day, I saw that rookie QB on the Giants has more multi-touchdown games than Are you talking about DeVito?
Tom, yes, he's played 3 games. He's had more multi-touchdown games than Kenny Pickett. Yes.
Yo, that is crazy.
Jay, it's like
real?
No, it's dead real. Jason, since 2020, when Matt Canada was hired, we've had 1 game over 300 yards passing, 0 games over 400 yards. Total offense.
Man.
In total offense. 1 game in 3 years.
All right, man. All right. Let's get to this next game. What ended up being a great game was the Lions defeated the Bears 31-26. Justin Fields, ignore the stat at the bottom. Obviously, it's a typo. Justin Fields played a hell of a game, but the Lions, again, talking about other teams who are resilient outside of that, lost to the Ravens where they got stomped. The Lions basically are still at one of the top teams in the NFC. Devontae, what's your takeaway from the game? We kind of heard your take on Justin Fields already. Like, we know he had a good game, but I'll focus more on the Lions for this particular one real quick. What's your thoughts on this Lions team? Because we've seen them down, come back in games. They did lose the overtime game to the Seahawks, and obviously we saw them get stomped by Baltimore. But other than that, they looked pretty good and strong throughout the year. Are you still a believer in the Lions?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely still a believer in the Lions. I actually think I can double down on it. I think with the right matchup, I think they're going to win a playoff game. With the right matchup, I think they're going to mess around and get the 3rd seed probably. I think I got Philly at 1. 49ers at 2. And Detroit at 3. I think the Cowboys get the 4th seed or the wild card. But I definitely think the Lions will take their division, especially with Kirk Cousins being hurt, with being out for the year. I double down on that. Jordan Love, Aaron Jones got hurt today. Yes, so I think the Lions. So I think the Lions definitely. I can double down with the Lions are definitely going to clearly win their division.
Yeah,
and
I'll put that away.
But I think the ceiling with the Lions is Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is good, but he's only going to get you so far. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I think
the Lions are the Bills of 2020. Was that the year with the duel with Patrick Mahomes? Was that year? Or was that 21?
Yeah. I thought that was 21.
Okay. All right. So look, man, my thoughts on the Lions so far is I'm trying to be careful with how I say this because I think the Lions, because they run the ball well, they got speedster with Williams if he ever gets his head right to, be fully committed. And I like the way Goff, especially the play action. If the Lions can run the ball, there's no team in the league they can't beat because their play action is so good. That's why you have to shut down the run to be able to hold off the Lions. That's why Baltimore stomped them because they shut down the run first, right? Philly, San Fran, Dallas. Who else would make the playoffs? Probably the Saints, most likely.
Maybe the Seahawks.
The Seahawks probably. I'm gonna say probably. I'm missing a team now. Who else would be in the playoffs potentially? You could say
Saints
maybe,
already, right?
yeah. You could say maybe the Rams or the Bucks because I know they're in the hunt. The Vikings, maybe they're in the hunt. Yeah, look, I think the only team right now, and this is no disrespect to San Fran, I think the only team right now I'm convinced they won't beat is Philly, and that's only because Philly's just been playing all these close games and winning. Right? Not saying they can't be upset. Here's my problem: the Lions can run the ball. I'm not sure San Fran can stop the run that well. You know what I mean? That well. Philly, if they get Carter back, I think they can. I know their run defense hasn't been good this year, but in the playoffs, it's more about who you got versus like what you did throughout the year. It's harder to run the ball in the playoffs, but it's more important. And if they could play action and playoff football, I think the Lions can be really, really strong. My only concern is if they can't run the ball, now it's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, because when they just drop back and pass, it's not the same passing game. You know what I mean? So now I'm thinking Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, in the way Dallas can rush the passer. Obviously, Bosa and Chase Young, in the way the Niners can rush the passer. Philly with Hassan Reddick, you know what I mean? Like how they can rush the passer. Now the Lions turn into sitting ducks. That's my concern with the Lions so far. If they could run the ball, I think they could beat just about anybody in the NFC. If you could stop the run, because even the Saints can rush the passer, now it's a problem. You know what I mean? But I love the way the Lions are playing. As for the Bears, like I said, you gave your take on Fields. Look, Fields is playing well. Obviously, he's handicapped by the franchise he's in. I do think they're going to move on from Justin Fields. We'll see. It's going to be some drafting and how they get off in terms of like shipping him out. I've heard places like he could go to the Bucks because obviously Baker is not the long-term solution there. I've heard he could be traded to the Raiders. I've heard he could be traded to Pittsburgh. I've heard like basically his name is starting to pop up now. You know what I mean? It's like when Stafford became available. You know what I mean? Oh, could it be Stafford going here and blah blah blah. But shout out to the Bears because ever since the coordinator walked away and all that, they've kind of come together and been playing some tough games. Yeah, I just like to see Fields get out of there though, if I'm being honest.
Amen.
But next week, just as a sneak peek, we're going to talk about quarterbacks like who are basically been kind of shitted on, but like I think they could be. We're going to play some musical chairs with quarterbacks. Put guy A on this team. Does he look better or worse? Pop said Cousins as well. Cousins is another one who will find
all for it
next year. Yeah, so
all for it, and neither Staley or Herbert, one of them two.
Right? Yeah. So next week we're gonna play quarterback musical chairs. As for this, Devontae, like the last thing we'll do is we'll take a look in at our division picks as we pop them up on the screen. Devontae, we're gonna run through this really quick and let's see how you feel about some of these. You ready?
Yep.
All right, let's do this. We're gonna check in. All right, AFC East Dolphins. You have the Bills. How do you feel about this?
Really, because they all really are. So I guess I'll stick with the Bills for now because the Bills already beat the Dolphins.
Okay. I'm going to stick with the Dolphins because they just won this game, to be honest, against Vegas. I thought they would have dropped that game. I thought that was a perfect chance for the Bills to get back in, but they ended up winning. So I'm going to stick with the Dolphins. We both have the Chiefs. Bengals, Ravens. Obviously, I'm going to switch my pick to Baltimore because the injury to Joe Burrow. So obviously, that's where that goes. But shout out to you for staying with the Ravens, unless you think Pittsburgh's going to sneak in.
Nope, I still got the Ravens. Nope.
Still got the Ravens. Okay, the South. We got the Jaguars. This is before we knew about CJ Stroud. How do we feel?
Texans.
So
Texans for sure.
Jacksonville plays Houston for the second time this year. Obviously, Houston mopped them up the first time. So obviously, I have a lot riding on this game because I'm going to stick with the Jaguars to win the division. So I'm very curious of this game that we'll see this weekend. But for right now, I am going to stay with the Jaguars. Obviously, Cowboys, Eagles, and the NFC East. Obviously, this was the one. This was the big one. Philly, right now, I would have every reason to pick Philly. But just for the sake of the show, I'm going to stick with Dallas because I want to see that second game. Obviously,
dear
you're
God.
sticking with Philly.
It's not even close.
Shout out to Jamie for checking out the show. What's going on, Jamie? Sorry about the Giants. All right.
Tommy DeVito available? I might need him.
Right. We both got the Niners. How you feeling about the Niners? They won 2 straight now.
They cruising by. They can win
Yeah.
that division clear as day.
In NFC South, it's a tight race, but the Saints are still at the top.
Yeah, even though bum old Michael Thomas is hurt again for the 99.9 time, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Saints too. We both got the Lions. Here we go. The wild card. I had the Ravens. Obviously, they'll shift into the divisional side. I had the Jets and the Bills, which now doesn't look so good no more, obviously, because we did this before Rodgers even got hurt. But how do you feel about this so far? You had Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and the Jets. Burrows, as we know, is out. Your Steelers are still alive, and the Jets are technically alive, but you know.
It's my Steelers are still alive. Bengals are going to be going home, and the Jets definitely aren't going in. So if I have to, I'm definitely going to put the Jaguars in that spot.
Okay.
And then that other spot's really going to be up for grabs with like the Dolphins and the Bills. Right.
So I think the Texans are definitely getting in, just wild card.
Yeah, for sure.
I would take out the Jets, obviously, and I will put in. You know what, Devontae? I might put Cleveland in right now, just for right now. Only because they just beat the Steelers. I would have put Pittsburgh in if Pittsburgh beat the Browns in the last game, but because Cleveland, I'll go with Cleveland for that last spot because I do think the Bills are going to get in regardless.
They ain't got the luck like that.
So we'll see. Because
they won 13-10. Remember that. They won 13-10.
I know, but they got in with Baker. Shout out to Travis Newman for checking out the show. What's going on, bro? Hope all is well. Jamie said, hey, finally see you guys live. Go Giants. Shout out to the Giants, though. They got the victory, the pick 6 to steal the game. And she said, laugh my ass off. All right.
That's much better.
NFC side, I had Philadelphia, the Seahawks, and the Giants. Obviously, Dallas and Philly, for me, all jokes aside, will flip. So whoever, you know what I mean? Whoever doesn't get the division will get in. I still feel good about the Seahawks. Devontae, you have Dallas, the Giants, which I had the Giants too, and the Seahawks. So I think you're good on the Giants. I'm sorry, you're good on the Cowboys and the Seahawks. Who would you replace the Giants with?
Oh, in the NFC though? Like,
this is tough.
Oh God, if I have to pick, if I gotta pick, I'm gonna go on a limb and just say I'm gonna say the Rams, just because they're more. They got.
I'm not mad at that.
They got Cooper Kupp and Puka, so like I'm gonna say LA.
I'm not mad at that. If I had to pick a team from the NFC right now to make the playoffs, now that the Giants are probably out of it, well, not probably, they are out of it. I'm gonna go because I already had Seattle in. I already had 2 teams from the East in.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Saints as the division winner, so this is tough. You know what, though? I'll tell you, I'm gonna go with the Pastronaut. Yeah, I'm go with the Pastronaut, man. That 7th seed in the NFC side is gonna be tough, but probably gonna get blown out, to be honest, in that first wild card game. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go with unless Dallas has a 2 seed. Because I can see Dallas as a 2 seed losing that game, to be honest. Yeah,
choking and losing.
Yeah, but if it's the Niners or Philly who has it, then yeah, they're gonna blow out the Vikings. But I think for right now, I'm gonna go with the Pastronaut himself, especially when Jefferson gets back. All right, and obviously, Devontae, I had the Bengals and the Bills, and you had the Ravens and the Chiefs. Obviously, you feel much better about your pick with the Ravens and the Chiefs.
I'm on the money right now. I'm still on the money right now.
The Bills. Obviously the Bills they still could make it. The Bengals without Burrow. I don't trust Zach Taylor. Just switch up the game plan enough. And obviously you had the Eagles and the 49ers in the NFC side, and I had the Cowboys and the Niners. I'm right now I'm still sticking to it, although right now both of those teams bother me. I know the Niners been beating up on teams lately. I'm still not quite sold yet. and obviously Dallas is Dallas, right? I kind of went out on a limb for that pick, but your pick right now is still obviously solid as well. And a Super Bowl pick, Devontae, I'll remove the bottom so you can see it. You had the who'd you have? You had
Eagles Chiefs.
Eagles Chiefs, which obviously they just played, and I had the 49ers and the Bengals. The 49ers I'm not down on, but obviously the Bengals without Joe Burrow, I am. So you still feel good about your picks?
Yeah, I'm right on the money. Like I don't like
Pop said you're really high on Houston too early.
I think they get a playoff spot. I think they can beat the Jaguars are so up and down this year. Like one moment they're nice, one moment they're terrible. I definitely think they can win they beat them again. They're gonna win the division for sure.
You know what? Blame the Chargers. Because the Chargers should easily make the playoffs, but they're not going to. So blame the Chargers. Like that's why Houston is in for me. Blame the Chargers.
And top 10 arm talent.
As well as shout out to CJ Stroud. And Jamie said we suck. I don't know why, but I just thought about Rob Snyder and Waterboy. Like, oh no, we suck again. Like, but yeah, man. But yo, that's it. So next week we'll play musical chairs with quarterbacks to see if we could change some folks' situation. Appreciate all the love and support as always. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Enjoy the time with your family. Eat some good food and stay safe. Devontae, as always, appreciate you. I'm gonna let them know where they can find you.
Find me at Devontae Forever on everything. So now we're talking the Steelers stuff all times. There's no more. We got a lot to be thankful about for this Thanksgiving Steelers Nation. The guys, our guy is finally gone. He's finally gone. So we finally got something to be thankful about and cheerful about as we head into Cincy. Jay, thank you again.
No doubt. As always, we'll catch you guys next week, Tuesday, 7:05. We out. Peace.
Peace.